mighty once ruled from classrooms and screens, hiding their sins behind power and fame. But the voices they silence now speak in the light, and nothing will ever be the same.
Hey Cryptlings, welcome back to the Witch's Lair inside the Crypt of Nights. Tonight we're talking After the Hunt, Luca Guadagnino's new Ivy League campus psychotic drama. Guadagnino, the sensitive artiste who gave us Call Me By Your Name, Challengers and Queer, now digs deep into everything that's wrong with today's top American academia. The screenplay is by Nora Garrett, a fresh voice on a heavy beat, and the film lists producers you might actually recognise. Hello, Brian Grazer, which means it's part arthouse breath and part we have the clout to get Julia Roberts in a cashmere trench. I watched this in the comfort of the lazy boy-style recliners of the Regal Theatre, but believe me, there was no moment of this uncomfortably great movie that I wanted to fall asleep. Back in March 2024, Julia Roberts said, "Sure, I'll do another movie," and Luca Guadagnino said, "Perfect, I'll make it classy and emotionally confusing." By May, Andrew Garfield and Ayo Edebiri joined the cast, and are we glad they did? They are perfect for their roles. Garfield, by the way, has wanted to work with Guadagnino since he saw Io sono l'amore, which means 2009, even before the Italian director made the transition to Hollywood. Then came Michael Stuhlbarg and Chloe Sevigny in June, two of the most underrated actors you will ever find. Sevigny is unrecognizable. Stuhlbarg is, well, Stuhlbarg, very recognizable. He plays Stuhlbarg. Filming started that summer in London and Cambridge, because of course it did. Nothing says Ivy League like Cambridge. It wrapped in just 6 weeks, shot on 35mm film. Yes, film like the old days, with Malik Hassan Saeed, the cinematographer, making his big return after 25 years. He's the man who shot Spike Lee's He Got Game, and had previously worked as a camera operator for none other than Stanley Kubrick. The music? Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, delivering a unique, creepy but subtle score. The movie premiered at Venice in August 2025, very glamorous, then opened the New York Film Festival in September and hit US theaters in October. It's also the first Amazon MGM film released internationally by Sony Pictures, proving that even movie studios can have messy breakups. The film starts with a little title that reads, "It Happened at Yale." It's September 2019, which in movie time means pre-pandemic, pre-everything collapse, but still just toxic enough to count as modern. We meet Alma Imhoff, played by Julia Roberts, a Yale philosophy professor with more baggage than a Louis Vuitton clearance sale. She's just come back from medical leave, she's on a lot of pain meds, and she's quietly juggling ambition, doubt, and a husband who is both her therapist and her emotional support cardigan, played by Michael Stuhlbarg. Alma and her best friend/colleague, Hank, Andrew Garfield being charmingly complicated, are both up for tenure, which at Yale is basically the Hunger Games with more tweed. At a dinner party, because in academic dramas everything bad starts with good wine, they're joined by Maggie, Alma's star PhD student, played by Ayo Edebiri, who's smart, observant, and a little too curious about her mentor's private life. Then something happens. An accusation, a fracture, a moment that turns this intellectual soap bubble into a pressure cooker. From there, the film becomes less about who's telling the truth and more about how truth itself gets twisted when power, gender, and reputation start wrestling in the same ivy-covered arena. Think of it as Doubt meets Tar, but with better lighting and a soundtrack that makes you feel like you're slowly being hunted by your own conscience. Guadagnino and writer Nora Garrett keep the focus tight on these three characters as their loyalties, ambitions, and personal histories unravel. It's a slow, cerebral burn where everyone's both predator and prey. After the Me Too movement and everything that's happened in the world of powerful, talented men, think Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby and the like, it is no mere accident that Guadagnino chose to film this in a very Woody Allen-esque academia melodrama. Even the titles are made to evoke that. Just another example of the type of layers this film has to discover. It is hard to fulfill that task with just one watch. Julia Roberts is superb as always, but there are some moments that you feel like she was miscast for this role, especially in the scenes where she's actually teaching in the classroom. You don't really buy her as an intellectual. She pulls it off because of her great talent and chops. Michael Stuhlbarg is great in this role. You really feel for him. And Ayo Edebiri was a breath of fresh air. It is Andrew Garfield and Chloe Sevigny take the film with their performances. Garfield, with just the most subtle of gestures, can make you change your mind about his character. And Sevigny just possesses that chameleonic nature that you really believe she's that person. I definitely recommend to go watch this in the theatre, and when it gets to Amazon Prime, please watch it in a quiet room with no distractions, because it is one of those films that are worth watching and then discussing. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please keep watching The Crypt of Nights.